At 94 years old, Angie Dickinson has reached a point in life where there is nothing left to prove and nothing left to protect. The spotlight that once defined her no longer dictates her words. Time has softened the noise, stripped away the myths, and left her with something far more powerful than glamour: clarity. And with that clarity, she has finally spoken openly about Ricky Nelson, not to shock anyone, but to remember him as he truly was. Angie Dickinson was born Angeline Brown on September 30th, 1931, in the small town of Culm, North Dakota. Her childhood unfolded during the Great Depression, inside a modest, disciplined household where hard work and education were deeply valued. Her father worked as a newspaper editor and publisher, and from him Angie inherited a respect for language, ideas, and thoughtful conversation. Even at a young age, she learned that words mattered, that stories shaped how people understood the world. When her family moved to California, her life quietly shifted. The move opened doors she never expected to walk through. Yet becoming a movie star was never her original plan. She attended Glendale Community College and later Immaculate Heart College in Los Angeles, studying business alongside drama. Acting was an interest, not a destiny. Her entry into Hollywood came almost accidentally, after appearing in a televised beauty contest in the early 1950s. That single appearance led to a contract with Columbia Pictures, launching her career during the final years of the powerful studio system. What set Angie Dickinson apart was never just her appearance. Yes, she was undeniably striking, but audiences connected to something deeper. She carried herself with intelligence, warmth, and emotional honesty. There was a grounded quality to her presence that made her feel real, approachable, human. Through the 1950s, she steadily moved from smaller roles into more meaningful performances, building her reputation piece by piece. Her defining breakthrough came in 1959 with Howard Hawks' Rio Bravo. Starring opposite John Wayne and Dean Martin, Dickinson played Feathers, a confident and self-possessed saloon singer. The role showcased her unique ability to balance strength and vulnerability. She was playful but never frivolous, independent without being distant. That performance transformed her career and established her as an actress capable of standing shoulder to shoulder with Hollywood's biggest names. Throughout the 1960s, Dickinson refused to be boxed into a single image. She moved effortlessly between genres, appearing in films like Ocean's 11, The Killers, and Point Blank. In Point Blank, her restrained and emotionally complex performance reflected the changing tone of American cinema. While many actors struggled to adapt as films grew darker and more introspective, Dickinson evolved naturally, proving her range extended far beyond the polished glamour of earlier decades. Her influence expanded even further when she transitioned into television. In 1974, she made history starring in Policewoman, becoming the first woman to headline a successful television drama as a police officer. Her portrayal of Sergeant Suzanne Pepper Anderson was groundbreaking. She brought authority, intelligence, and empathy to the role at a time when female characters were rarely allowed such depth. The show was a massive success and left a lasting cultural impact, opening doors for future generations of women in television. As Hollywood changed, Angie Dickinson adapted without desperation. She selected her roles carefully, appearing in films like Dress to Kill in 1980, where she once again surprised audiences with her fearlessness. Even as opportunities for women of her generation became fewer, she refused to fade quietly. Instead, she reinvented herself. In the early 1990s, she took on darker, more unsettling roles. In the miniseries Wild Palms, produced by Oliver Stone, she delivered a chilling performance that shed any remaining traces of her earlier screen image. That same year, she appeared in Even Cowgirls Get the Blues, fully embracing characters that challenged expectations. She leaned into complexity, power, and moral ambiguity at a stage in her career when many others retreated into safety. Off-screen, Dickinson was just as resolute. In 1993, she famously walked off the set of a proposed This Is Your Life special, refusing to let her story be reduced to sentimental packaging. It was a clear statement. She would define her own narrative or not tell it at all. Her personal life, like her career, was layered and often private. Her first marriage ended quietly, and she chose to keep the name Dickinson as part of her identity. Later, she married composer Burt Bacharach, a union that lasted 16 years and produced their daughter, Nikki. Nikki's life was marked by profound challenges, and her death in 2007 was a devastating loss that reshaped Dickinson's later years. It was a reminder that behind public success often lies deep, unseen pain. Now, at 94, Angie Dickinson speaks without bitterness. When she talks about Ricky Nelson, her tone is gentle, reflective, and deeply compassionate. She explains that people were always eager to label their connection, to turn it into something simple or sensational. But reality, she says, was far more nuanced. When their paths crossed in the early 1960s, Angie was already established, grounded by experience. Ricky, on the other hand, had been famous since childhood. He was adored by millions, yet isolated in ways few understood. Angie describes him as thoughtful, shy beneath the surface, and quietly introspective. Fame, she believes, took something essential from him. It left little room for self-discovery. She insists their connection was never about attention or image. There was no agenda, just conversation, understanding, two people trying to make sense of a world that never slowed down. She believes she may have been someone Ricky could speak to honestly, without expectation. As time passed, their lives naturally diverged. But she never forgot him. His death in 1985 felt unfinished, as if the story stopped before it could fully unfold. Even now, she wonders who he might have become if he'd been allowed to grow beyond the image the world fixed in place. At 94, Angie Dickinson does not rewrite history. She humanizes it. She remembers Ricky Nelson not as an icon, but as a sensitive soul navigating impossible expectations. And in telling that truth, she reminds us that behind every legend is a human being, shaped by pressures we rarely see. Time has taken the shine off Hollywood myths. What remains is meaning, and sometimes that is far more powerful than fame ever was.